So I want to take you back in history. In fact, we're going to go back today 3,500 years to the beautiful Nile River Valley. Some of you know that the nation of Egypt grew up around one of the most fertile areas in the world. The Nile had everything. I mean, it was a south to north flowing river that provided all kinds of food and every bit of water that the Egyptians needed. But what was even better for the folks 3,500 years ago is that if you went east, you had to cross hundreds of miles of desert with no food or no water. And if you went west, you had to cross hundreds of miles of desert with no food and no water. And so the most powerful nation in the world grew up in that small little area on the Nile River. And the Nile provided everything, and the geography provided the only thing the Nile couldn't provide, which was security. In other words, Egypt had it made in the shade. The only problem, though, is that without any external enemy, without any forces to push it to move better, Egypt actually got stuck. And as a civilization, they literally failed to evolve. They failed to improve over a 500-year period of time. And by the time the Assyrians came to power, it was over for the Egyptians. Now, I want to take you into the present day. You know, when things are easy, when things are just, everything's going exactly the way it should, when there's no stress, when there's no difficulty, the tendency of an entrepreneur like you and me is to get a little complacent, to kind of sit in our laurels just a little bit and to not improve. Well, guess what? About 2 months ago, the world completely changed, and under the pressure cooker of the changes that happened with the global lockdown, with COVID-19, businesses had to change. And so what I'm going to talk about today are the changes that I'm seeing happening in the live event business. And by the time we're done with our EdTalks live session, you're going to know how to implement quickly and to be able to launch a live or a virtual event that can create the kind of community that you want and the kind of revenue that you want. EdTalks Live is next. All right, welcome to the show. My name's Ed Rush, 5-time #1 best-selling author, your host for the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. We've been off for about a week, and here we are back in the show, and all of a sudden chat just blew up. It is so great to see our EdTalks Live family here. Make a point, if you haven't, if you just joined us, to jump into chat on the right-hand side. If you're on Facebook, that's just below you. I want to say hello to a few of my friends who just jumped into chat, but before I do that, today's show is called How to Host and Promote a Wildly Successful Live and Virtual Event. I started the show by talking about the country of Egypt and how they didn't evolve, they didn't change, they didn't get better because they didn't have any pressure surrounding them. But all of the other nations in the world were moving in terms of their technology improvement really fast because they had enemies all around them. And then all of a sudden in March of 2020, the world completely changed. And I will tell you that I make roughly about 60 to 70% of my personal revenue comes from my live events. At least that's been the case the last 4 or 5 years. And then all of a sudden, COVID takes live events completely off the table for a little while. Enter the hybrid event. I'm going to talk a little bit about events, live and virtual events, but I'm going to show you some examples of some things that we did 2 weeks ago at Big Pivot and why they were so successful. But before I do that, let me welcome hey, what's up, Anita? Good to see you as well. That's one of our Big Pivot attendees right there. It's so good to see you as well. Paul Bigham, my man, said, good to be back. Your Dallas event was tremendous. So much good to share. Ready for Top Gun Consulting. I'm going to show you a clip from that, actually. Paul, by the way, I should say, Dennis Bauer. Dennis joined us at an hour before on chat. What's up, Dennis? By the way, if you just joined us, and about 10 of you just joined us on the show, probably from the email that I sent out, this is how to host and promote a wildly successful live and virtual event. My name is Ed Rush. This is the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. In a moment, I'm going to start talking about how you can do live events if you want to, but really how to conduct a great virtual event. Because what happened in Dallas, that was the real eye-opener for us, is it wasn't necessarily the live bit. We already know how to do that. As a team, we've executed live events for years and years and years. But what we did virtually was, I think, completely world-class and the way that we did it was exceptional. I'll explain some of the things that happened behind the scenes. Thank you, Dennis, for your awesome compliments. Jim Butts sent me a great email yesterday with some incredible feedback. And I said, Jim, I need to have you up on the show, man. Jim is a sage, a guy that I look to for some great ideas as well. Wendell Bugs, I miss the most positive place on the planet too, dude. It's good to see you as well. Roy Red, who was at Big Pivot, and I said, Roy's speaking at my next event, man. So you get ready to hear my man Roy. What's up, Bob? Good to see you as well. From Raleigh, heard great things about you and Michael Haig as well. So good to see you as well. Hey, Sally, good to see you as well. Sally was one of our live event attendees as well. Hello, Donald. Good to see you as well. Aubrey, welcome back to the show. Pivot 1 was great, says Donald. Congratulations. Welcome to Lisa as usual. Bill, my man. Bill had some great breakthroughs at Big Pivot. It was awesome to see your evolution and your thinking about how to help people with cancer. What's up, Brad? Good to see you as well. Hey, Robert, did get your package. It's sitting on my desk. I just got back to my desk. I will get to that today. Thank you for taking the time to send that to me. You are a gentleman and a scholar, my friend. Hey, what's up, Edward? Good to see you as well. Bill, I have no laurels to sit on. Mike Toy, what's up, dude? Charlie, good to see you as well. Harisha, welcome back to the show. Chris and Gina, the whole gang is here. It's like a family reunion back here on EdTalks. All right, so continue to introduce yourself in chat, and let's get cranking with what we're going to talk about today. So, by the way, I know some of you are working with Jonathan Sprinkles in his MVP program, and that starts, I know, in about 50 minutes. So don't you worry, I'm going to get you off in time to join him. We made an agreement that I would, he wouldn't do his show during my show, and I wouldn't do my thing into his. All right, so let me take you into the dichotomy between the two events. And by the way, if you just joined us, my name is Ed Rush. This is EdTalks Live. How to host and promote a wildly successful live and virtual event. I need to tell you this. So as of this week, EdTalks Live, this live show that we do right here out of my studio here in San Diego, is going to Tuesdays and Thursdays, okay? So Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern. I've got a great schedule planned for you for the next month. It's gonna blow you away. In fact, on Thursday, I've got two of my longtime clients coming in, David and Jill Stoll. They built a business from scratch to now a multi-million-dollar business, and they do it in the learning regime. They help kids and adults with learning challenges or disabilities to completely overcome those and to be wildly successful in their lives. And they've got incredible success stories with things like dyslexia or some learning issues, things that would be taken care of normally in the school system ineffectively, they take care of really, really well. We're gonna talk about what they did in their business because they're brilliant marketers. Even though they've got an incredible approach to healing and helping people, they're incredible marketers. So that's on Thursday, and I've got a whole lineup ready for you. I've got a couple best-selling authors on the way, some folks that are gonna really be able to help you. But like I said, EdTalks Tuesday and Thursday. So Delisa, make sure you put that in chat just to remind everybody we're now on Tuesday and Thursday format, which will give you a little bit more freedom. It'll give me some time to really dedicate to the guests that we're gonna have on the show. All right, so without any further ado, what I'm gonna do, hey, what's up, David? Good to see you as well. Welcome back to the show. Without any further ado, what I'm gonna do is jump up on the whiteboard. I'm gonna start teaching live virtual events, and I'm gonna show you some clips from this event to show you how we executed certain things in the background and why it was so successful both live and online. And then I'm gonna come and answer your questions. So let me jump over to the camera. I'll be with you in a moment. All right, so let's talk about the two versions of events. So you've got, for example, live events. You're familiar with a live event, right? You come to an event, 2-3 days, sit in the event room for about 8 hours a day, listen to the teacher or trainer, and then head home. Okay, now there are some benefits to doing a live event, but let's go on the other side and we'll talk about virtual events, right? Virtual event would be something like, for example, like we're doing right now, or more specifically, some of you are enrolled in Top Gun Consulting, which is coming up in August. Some of you came to my training, Ultimate Speaker, which was virtually delivered last month. Okay, this is an event that's delivered primarily online. Bunch of different formats that you can do the event. I won't go into depth on each one, but for example, right now we're on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. You could use Zoom, which is what I use for the delivery of my virtual events. You saw that actually at Big Pivot as well. But these are the two kind of events. Now, let's talk about some of the benefits of each of the events, and then some of the drawbacks of each of them as well. And then I'm going to get into some of the tips and the strategies that you can use on either side of the event that you're doing. And by the way, if you just joined us, I saw a whole bunch of people just come onto the show. This is EdTalks Live, how to host and promote a wildly successful live and virtual event. If you're new to the show, which I think a whole bunch of you who just joined us are, this is a show that we run Tuesday and Thursday every single week to show you some strategies you can implement in your business to see success. We call it the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. If you haven't done so, jump into chat, say hello, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do. If you've been here for a while, you click that like button or the share button. All right, that's the rules. That's the rules. Now, let's talk about live events. Some of the benefits to live events, okay? So, I love live events. I've built my entire business around live events. And I love bringing people into a room. There's some incredible advantages. So for example, the community. I mean, look, there's some people in this chat right now that came to one of my live events 7 or 8 years ago and is still following me and still connected to people who follow me because of the community. So there's nothing like a live event to create community. The truth is, as a business owner, it's a really lonely place as a business owner. I mean, you're out there in the world trying to market yourself using Facebook or Instagram and like no one gets you. I mean, nobody understands you. I remember one time I was at church like 5 years ago and somebody came up to me and was like, Ed, I've known you for like 3 years. I don't even know what you do. Like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I sell drugs. Like, you don't even know how to explain it, right? And so the community, when you walk into an event, people are like, wow, it's like there are a whole bunch of people like me, like people in the trenches trying to make it work, trying to make things happen. And some of the best learning happens from communities at live events, okay? Another great benefit to live events is the learning, right? You have an environment that is truly an immersive environment. I mean, people come in 9 o'clock in the morning, you leave at like 5 o'clock at night, there's a little lunch break and there's some other breaks, but you're in this immersive environment. And you know, what I do at my events is I don't usually provide internet. I actually recommend that people just take notes, written notes, because you want to come into an environment where you're just immersed into the training. Because what happens is when you spend the time to put into it, your subconscious mind really kicks into gear, and all of a sudden you start to think of some really, really great ideas. Okay? Another great benefit on a business side to live events is it's a great sales environment. Okay? And so I said in the beginning, I've created probably 60 to 70% of my revenue over the last 8 years or so has come out of the live event format. Okay? And a lot of it has to do with the way that the event goes. And I'll just tell you full disclosure, people come to my events all the time. They tell me this. And they're like, I promised my wife I wouldn't buy anything. And then they end up enrolling in something because they realize the opportunity is just so good. Like, for example, some of you saw I offered a program called Top Gun Consulting. It was my 5th iteration on a consulting program. I gave a great price, and I also gave a great guarantee. My guarantee was, within 3 months of taking the training, you'll do a $5,000 deal or $5,000 worth of deals, or you can get your money back. In other words, the training essentially becomes free at that point. Okay, but the benefit to a live event can be the sales. So for example, I'm gonna give you a couple of numbers. Let's say somebody just comes out of the blue from your email list or something like that to a sales page. A typical conversion on like a good, well-written sales page is about 1% or less. What I mean by that is maybe 1 out of every 100 people that hit a page, maybe even if they know you, even if they've been on your email list, somebody that comes to a web page, a typical conversion is about 1%. If you're gonna do a webinar or like a Zoom meeting or an online training and you're gonna sell something at the end, a good conversion would be something like about 10%. In other words, 10 of the 100 people that are attending buying your product would actually be a pretty good number. Even though that sounds low, that's actually above average, okay? But in the live event environment, the numbers would look more like about 20%. And the only difference, it's not the offer, it's not the product, it's the environment. On a sales page, there's less interaction, there's less urgency. In a Zoom meeting, there's more distractions. But in a live event, because people are immersed, you can typically get a lot more people to sign up for your products and programs, okay? So these are some benefits to doing a live event. And I wanna jump in, I just had a whole bunch of folks just join us in chat. So let me say hello to you. What's up? Yes, every Tuesday and Thursday from now on. What's up, Diana? Welcome back. It's good to have you as well. Ultimate speaker twice, big pivot, top. You're welcome. You're welcome to be part of that group. What's up, Garen? Or Hadley, good to see you as well. Top Gun Consulting is August 18th to the 28th, streaming live. Thank you, Delisa. The website is edrush.com/topgun. I'll tell you more about that in a future show. Okay, so these are the benefits to a live event. Now, on a virtual event, here's some of the benefits to a virtual event, right? You've got, for example, no travel, okay? So typically, you could get more people to sign up for a virtual event because you don't have to get on an airplane, you don't have to go buy a hotel room, you don't have to go into another city. Now, sometimes people like that about a live event, truthfully. There are people who are like, get me out of California, okay? But sometimes it's travel that can be a consideration for people, okay? Number two, for you as a host, it's way cheaper to do a virtual event than it is to do a live event. My live events, full disclosure, by the time I bring my team in, by the time I pay for the production, I mean, if you were there live at Big Pivot, you saw my production team in the back had about 7 members in it, okay? And I had Meredith sitting in the back, and I had other team members who came in, little things like just cutting my hair. I mean, there's a hotel expense, there's flight, there's supplies. I had to rent all those tables, okay? And my events typically run anywhere from about $15,000 to about $25,000 to produce beginning to end. That includes all of the prep and everything that comes along with that, and oftentimes some of the promotions. So a virtual event, you don't need to put out tables, you don't need to put out chairs, you don't need to have a little snack room, you don't need to have a break, you don't need to have a team necessarily running all the production. Some of the productions you can do on your own. When I do virtual events, it's me doing the production, which you're seeing right now, and Delisa, who's doing the work in the background. There's just basically 2 of us when it comes to that. So a benefit to a virtual event is it's cheaper. Now, remember, you give up a little bit of that benefit because you're going to typically sell a little bit less on a virtual event. But the reason you're going to sell less on a virtual event is it's harder to keep people engaged virtually because, like you're doing right now, you're watching a computer screen. And I don't know many entrepreneurs who can watch a computer screen without like getting off onto Facebook or YouTube. Okay, so it's just some benefits to live, benefits to virtual. Now, on the virtual side, some of the downside. Okay, I gave you some of the downside here. You got to travel a little bit more expensive. The downside of the virtual event is what I just said, which is the distractions. Okay, and so I'm going to give you some strategies in just a moment on how to engage with your virtual attendees, because I will tell you that up until Big Pivot, the event that we did 2 weeks ago, I only ever did live events. Now, every once in a while, what we would do is we would, at the very end of the promotion for a live event, we would send an email out to everybody on the list and say, hey, if you want to attend the live stream of the live event, you can attend that. And what we used to do is literally stream the entire event online. Here's up until Big Pivot, this is the record that I've had, okay? First of all, when I said, hey, we're going to stream the live event, and we sold tickets to the live stream for like $500 or whatever. When I did that, what I saw was that live event attendees went down because a whole bunch of people got the email and were like, hey, I'm not going to travel to Dallas. I'm just going to watch it online. And up until Big Pivot, my success at being able to offer programs and products to the virtual event attendees was 0%. And so, as you might imagine, I was a little jaded towards the idea of live streaming a live event because I was like, look, man, if it's 0%, you know what that means? That means that the people on virtual were not paying attention. That's not you who are on Big Pivot, because what we did at Big Pivot, totally different experience. I'm going to explain why it was so different in just a moment, okay? Because the truth is, at the Big Pivot event, the sales, the online sales, actually doubled the in-the-room sales. And the in-the-room sales were significant, okay? So this was a completely different event, but it's because we approached it in a completely different way, okay? So those are some benefits to each kind of the events, and what you saw at Big Pivot just a few weeks ago was what I call a true hybrid event. Let me explain what a hybrid event is not. A hybrid event is not a live event. A hybrid event is not a virtual event. And a hybrid event isn't a live event that just gets streamed live. Like, remember what I said? every once in a while we'd sell the live stream and people would just watch it online. That's not a hybrid event. And the truth is that the live event people in a true hybrid event, when you put the two together, okay, you have to do two things at one time. Number one, you have to produce a great event for the people who are attending live. In other words, they shouldn't feel like they're just watching you do a Zoom meeting, okay? The second thing, though, is you have to produce a great event for the people watching virtually. In other words, they need to feel like they are a part of the event. They need to be communicated to from the stage. They need to be acknowledged. Their feedback is important and should be included into the event, okay? They should have an opportunity, like when I say hoorah, they should have an opportunity to respond back. And you'll see some examples of that. I've got a couple clips I'm going to show you from the event. A few actually from Jonathan Sprinkles, because I think Jonathan did a really, really great job of that. Okay, so a true hybrid event combines both of the benefits to the live and the virtual event while simultaneously mitigating the downside of each of these two, okay? And that's what we were able to do in Big Pivot. Now, here's what I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to play you a short clip from a Big Pivot event. Some of you who are there, I thought, so there were three trainers. It was me and Jonathan Sprinkles, who taught on connection, and Marquetta Breslin, who taught on creating products and social media. And I have not been to an event where I liked the guest speakers as much as I liked my guest speakers at this event. And I thought particularly Jonathan did an incredible job engaging and connecting with the virtual attendees. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to jump in and show you. I've got a couple clips. One's maybe about a 4-minute clip, and the rest are like 1 to 2 minute clips. I have a couple little clips because there's some instruction that I want to show you from this event, and then we're going to come back. So I'm going to show you a little clip from Jonathan Sprinkles' presentation, and then I'm going to come back. And by the way, a whole bunch of you just joined us. If you did, my name's Ed Rush. This is how to host and promote a wildly successful live and virtual event. I'm talking about how to create a hybrid event, live and virtual. I'm going to give you some strategies and some tips on how to do this really, really well, and then I'm going to take your questions. If you haven't said hello in chat, jump into chat. I saw Jim House. What's up, dude? Good to see you as well. My man who helped me launch 21 Day Miracle. Yeah, you got that right, man. Delisa was running the back behind the scenes. Melanie, what's up? Thank you very much. Awesome to see you as well. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show this quick clip. Watch this as though you were a live attendee, and then watch it as though you were a virtual attendee. And I want you to see it from both perspectives, and then I'm going to come back and give you a couple thoughts. All right? Here we go.
Because I know that Ed told you about how we met, but he didn't tell you the full story. It wasn't 2007 or 2003 or whenever it was. It was actually long before then. Now, let me take you back. See, Ed didn't tell you, this is why I needed you to be here, Ed. You can go after this, but I just needed to just clear the air while we have all of these people here. What people don't know is that this is part of the reason why I'm here. And I'll give you the real reason, okay, if we could just be honest. The reason why was because I was serving my country as a fellow airman as well. Now, this was right before Ed made it to flight school. I was known, he was talking about the guy who was really good. Well, oh, you think I'm joking? Look, no, I can prove it. This is the day that Ed actually arrived at flight school. I was the top dog. And then, Ed was back there, but he was just this little guy. It was like, where is Ed? Where is Ed? There he is, actually. He was just this new guy. And he was like, oh, I'm going to be great. I'm going to fly the plane with my left foot. Watch this. I'm like, Ed, come on, man. What are you doing? And so, what can I say? Ed believes in the concept of copy genius. And so you've seen this picture, and you think, yeah, he was a great guy just following the plan. He actually did that because he went and bought a flight suit that was just like mine. He was like, hey, I want to be like the top guy. I want to be like Jonathan. And people literally couldn't tell us apart. He learned how to walk like me and talk like me. They literally couldn't tell us apart. And so that's how he developed this name here, because that was the only way that they could tell us apart. So we said, no, I'm the head rush guy. Well, he couldn't copy mine because mine was so well branded. My flight name was Sprinkalicious. You know, because I felt like that was the right way to do things. Because you couldn't feel good about yourself if you just shot down Sprinkalicious. Right? You can't even brag to your wife about that. Right? So, you know, Ed was like, well, what can I do? How can I get better? And I showed him on Friday nights. I gave my Friday nights to him. Look, listen, you see, you don't ask enough questions. That's the problem. Y'all don't think about these things deep enough. If he was in the flight simulator, who had to turn it on? You see? You see? So, Ed, I just want to say congratulations. One day he finally got to the front, and that was pretty much when I retired. I just said, that's it. This is my time.
How many hours of design work did you burn? I mean, that's very, really, I mean.
Ed, look, I want you to know, you didn't know that I had these pictures, but now it's time for me to just come clean, okay?
That's an old picture, too, right there, man.
Yeah, that was the day I retired, actually. I've been waiting for this moment for so long.
I know.
Don't leave me at home during quarantine, okay?
I now have to go back and work on my presentation now, don't I? I have to and change the pictures.
There we go. So
that's funny.
So as you could tell, that story didn't really happen. But this one did. And this was right before my birthday, March of this year. Now, Ed has just been a great friend, and I wanted to make sure that, while I'm here speaking at your event for the first time, make sure that I just stop and tell you about the kind of man who will be your coach. Let me tell you, if any of you get an opportunity to work with Ed, do it. For those who have already done it, you understand why those testimonials are not random. They're not one-off. This is the average result. People are very successful because Ed is just such a smart, intelligent, sharp thinker. And he was just so kind. He said, hey, you want to go to a basketball game? And I'm thinking he's going to do like a college game or something. And he said, no, actually, it's the Lakers. Well, I grew up in Los Angeles, and Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
All right, so little clip from Jonathan right there. A side note on that clip, there are two things that I wanted you to see. First of all, when they clipped to me in the back, you could see this huge screen. I'm talking like it was 17 feet high screen that had all of the virtual attendees on gallery view. For the speakers, that was really important because we were always looking that direction, and we could always see them in the biggest bit of our field of view. We could always see you who were at home. That gave us the opportunity to speak directly to you. Now, side point really quickly, this is actually really important. As a speaker, what Jonathan did, and that was his opening presentation, by the way. That was like 5 minutes into his opening presentation. What Jonathan did was very, very important. And what you saw was what I call advanced speaker strategy, okay? You have to remember, when you come into an event as a guest speaker, everyone in the event is attached to or affiliated with the host, okay? In this case, it was my event. And look, there wasn't anybody who came to that event who didn't at least believe in some small part that I was going to be able to help you get to the direction that you wanted to go. And so everybody coming into the event knew me. They knew who I was because you signed up for the event knowing that you were coming to see me, but you didn't know Jonathan. Some of you did. Some of you worked with him. In fact, some of you came to me because of Jonathan, actually. Come to think of it, like Arisha, who was sitting right in the front row. You came to the event because you met me through him. But most of the people who came didn't know me, didn't know Jonathan. So he did two things really well. First of all, the comedy bit about him being a pilot. It just really is a disarming. I mean, if you're coming into a talk and you're like, who is this guy? By the time you get done laughing, you're like, I like this guy, okay? The second thing he did, I want to ask you in chat, okay? Because there was something at the end of his discussion, all right? And this is my little quiz for you. There's something he said at the end of his talk that was hugely important. In fact, so important that him simply saying this one line is probably enough to get him invited back as a speaker. I mean, he did more than enough to get invited back as a speaker, trust me when I tell you that. But there was one line that he said, and so I want to throw that to you in chat. There's one thing that Jonathan said that as a event host like me is not necessary for my guest speaker to say, but it is very, very, very incredibly nice that he does say it, and it's very important, okay? So on chat, I know that you're just typing it in right now. I'd love to see what your answers are. I see one answer came in. Okay, I'm gonna let you do that. And while I do that, I wanna give you a couple of tips, all right? So this is just some tips and strategies on the live and the virtual side. I'm just gonna give you some stuff that we're doing behind the scenes, and then I'm gonna put it all together and just show you a couple of ideas, and I'm gonna give you some application items on what you can do next, okay? So, a couple things. Number one, on the tips, environment is very important on a live event. I'll get to that in a second. Number two, your open is very important in a live event. And number three, your attention and interaction, okay? And I'll get to all these in just a second. I got my answers coming in to chat, so we've been together for far too long. It's like you guys, you already know because this is like one of my strategies. Now watch this. Diana Lovejoy was the first one to type it in. If you ever get a chance to work with Ed, do it. This was a very, very powerful part, and you always want your guest speaker to say something like that. By the way, I said that about him at the event too, but it goes like this. Look, some of you have worked with him. These are the results. If you ever get a chance to work with Ed, do it. So Jim says, I agree. Bill says, I agree. Yeah, you guys are great. There's the answers. That was apparently it was too easy a question. When you work with him, remember to go over what, yeah, this is really good. When you work with him, remember to go over what he teaches every year and do every better. Yeah, that's actually really important too, Donald. What he just wrote is a picture of us as friends. It does make this social connection between the two of us, and it shows you as an attendee, hey, you know what? This is more than just a speaker that's coming in. This is one of Ed's friends, and that's very true about us. I invited him to come on out. He spent the day together in LA. We went out on the court. We actually went back. He went in the locker room after the game. I actually drove my kids home. And it was one of the last basketball games, too. It was Lakers against the Bucks. My dad is actually one of the consultants to the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's how we got in. All right, so a couple ideas. So first of all, live event tips. I've taught some of this stuff in the past. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. The environment is really important, okay? You've been to live events before where you walk in, there's like two dudes in the back sipping coffee out of a styrofoam cup. There's no music, there's a bunch of folding chairs, and you're like, what am I, like in an AA meeting right now or something like that? Okay, so the environment's important. So at my events, the doors are closed until we're ready to open it. In this case, it was 15 minutes before the doors open. There's music, my team's like, woo, like making noises, people are coming in. The lights are all on, the stage is all set. It feels like you're coming into a rock concert, okay? So the environment is really important. Remember now, the Zoom folks, they're not getting that part yet. So what happens with them is important. I'm going to talk about that in a second. The open is really important. How you open your event. Okay, I didn't pull the clip on this, but I'm going to give you a quick one on this. How you open your event is actually really, really important. And most people, when they open events, or YouTube videos for that matter, how you open anything is really important. Like you'll notice today I said, look, everything's changed. You know, like Egypt didn't have pressure, so they didn't change. You got to change. All right, I didn't start most YouTube videos start like this. Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, oh my gosh, there's so many people here. No, most people start live events by telling them a bunch of administrative stuff. The bathrooms are over there. We're going to take a break in an hour. Your notebooks are on your table. Say that stuff later. You'll remember at Big Pivot, I actually started the event in the back of the room standing up on a table. The reason why I did that is as a live event attendee, I wanted you to do this. I wanted you to turn around and look at me in the back, because by doing that, it's called a pattern interrupt. In other words, what most people do is they introduce the speaker, you clap, the speaker comes up, and then the speaker starts speaking. That's the normal pattern for a live event. What I wanted to create for you was a pattern interrupt. I wanted something to feel different because truly the event was different. And again, I can go deeper into this. I could spend an entire show just talking about this. Okay, and then the last thing is attention and interaction. Remember, this isn't a 30-minute talk. This is a 3-day event, okay? And that's hard on anyone, the speakers as well as the attendees. Okay, so you'll notice there are a lot of portions as a live event attendee where the speakers are interacting with you. There's times where we're asking you for feedback. There's times when we're simply saying, hey, if that makes sense, would you say hoorah, okay? So some tips on the live event side. Now, on the virtual event side, the open for the virtual event people is really important too, but it's harder to do because remember, you're in a live event environment, okay? So, which is the reason why I made it a point. I'm gonna tell you straight up, I told my team, I said about 45 seconds into my introduction, I'm going to turn directly to the camera and I'm going to say now. And when I say now, I want you to switch the camera, focus in on me, and I want you to go directly to me talking directly to the virtual event attendee. So you'll remember I stood up, I said, you have a story or message or experience that's going to change the world, but you haven't gotten there yet. Remember, I said the world is a dark place right now, but when it's dark, it's easiest to see the light. And you are the light that the world needs to see right now because you have a story or a message or an experience that's going to change the world, and you haven't gotten there yet. And this event, by the end of today, you're going to understand why. And then I turned directly to the camera and I said, now, for you virtual attendees, I haven't forgotten about you. This event is for you too. And I'm going to show, and I spoke directly to the virtual event attendees. And I wanted you, as you're watching virtually, to feel like you were a part of the event. Remember, most streaming events do the event for the live people and basically just kind of forget about the streaming people, but I wanted to include you into the actual event. So the open is really important. Now, what's also really, really important is engaging with the virtual event attendees. So I made a rule, told my speakers, this is the rule. For every time a person in the live audience asks a question or feedbacks, the next time you have to go to Zoom. And actually, if you were watching the event, we went to Zoom more than we actually came into the live room. We did more because the Zoom people were interacting even more, okay? So engagement was really, really important. Again, the Zoom attendees needed to feel like they were part of it. The third thing is we had, and I'm going to show you a clip where you'll see this in a second, but we had times where the Zoom people they couldn't be like hoorah because it would blow the audio out, but we had people sticking their hands up, and the whole time everybody had their camera on and they were responding and interacting again like they're in a live event. Okay, so I'm going to give you one more engagement thing, and then I'm going to show you another clip to show you how we brought in some of the people. I think Anita, this is actually you on this clip. Okay, the last thing I'll give you right here is remember when I said one of the biggest downsides to doing the event virtually is the distractions. Okay, it's hard enough with a lot of event people, okay, to keep them from being distracted, but virtual, man, somebody could get a call, they could go to Facebook and watch some funny video. Okay, so minimizing the distractions is really important. Okay, now, there is a technique when I'm communicating virtually that I'm thinking in my head. All right, and the technique goes eyes, ears, hands. Think about this for a second. What you're hoping to get from your virtual attendees, whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's a live stream, whether it's a product delivery, or a virtual hybrid event, okay, is you're looking to have them watching you with their eyes, while listening with their ears, while engaging with their hands, okay? Now, there is and I'll tell you, full disclosure, Jonathan did this better than I did. I was learning from him as he was going, because what he was doing, he would say, hey, give me a 5 in chat, and all of a sudden, you'd see chat totally explode. Like, I'm gonna do this right now. Let me just give you an example of this. As you're watching right now on this EdTalks Live, if what I'm sharing with you makes sense and you've gotten at least one implementation item that you can take into implementation, just put the number 5. You can type FIVE or just put the 5. You can put a hand symbol in there if you want to. Just give me a 5 right now in chat. I'm going to start showing the first, second, third. I'm going to show the 5s as they come in. It takes, my system lags. There's Bill Bevins. Bill says 6, 5, 5. I got a 6, 6, 5, 5. You guys crack me up. There's Charlie. What's up, Charlie? Good to see you, buddy. 5, 5. There's some 5s from Aubrey, Sally. Okay, so Anita, what's up? What's up, Anita? So this is an example of what I'm talking about, engaging in chat. Now, in the moment that someone's typing a 5, That means they're watching because the screen's pulled up. That means they're listening and they're typing, okay? Now, you can have someone listening but be on another screen someplace or walking around their office or something like that, but you'd like to have all three. And to do that, engaging in chat is really important. That's the reason why, for example, on Zoom, oftentimes I'll use polls so that people can start to engage simply like that, okay? So, a couple tips right there. I'm gonna show you one clip and then I'm gonna come back and talk. The last little bit I'm gonna talk about is the sales environment and bringing these two together, which was very complicated, but we executed it very well. I'm gonna show you what I mean by that in a second. Thank you, Dennis Bauer. You guys are awesome. All right, hang on. Let me show you one more clip. This is actually Jonathan again, because like I said, I thought he did a great job engaging with the crowd, and the truth is, I like watching him on video better than me. You know how you don't like watching yourself on video, so I'm showing you his clips because I liked what he did. All right, so let me show you one more. This is like a 1.5-minute clip, and it's him engaging with on Zoom. It's important to see how he does this. Watch this.
That abundance, that exceedingly abundant, it's that moment right there. That is your magic, sir. Great job. Great job.
Okay. I am irrationally passionate about waking people up to their power,
Yes.
and here's why. You would feel at peace knowing that you are capable of all you need to be capable of, and as a result, fear would be diminished in the world, and truth could come back to the public square.
Beautiful. Woo! That is so good. Come on, guys. Put some energy in the room. Yes. Very good. I love it. I love it. I don't know what you're selling, but I'm buying 3 of them. Okay, let's go to my Zoomers. If you want to go, give me 2 hands. Okay. Let me see. Okay, I see you with the tank top. I run funny like this because my pants are too tight. Dr. Wendy, I saw you. Okay, what else? If you want to go, and I see Charlie, and it looks like who else? Who is this? Is that C-I-N-A? China Longo? China? Okay, so in order that I called your name, you're number 1.
All right, so you can see that in that particular example, we were actually using another camera, but in that particular example, he's having people jump in, and that zoom shot that you saw right there at the very end, we were overlaying that all over and over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, so I got one more thing to share with you, which is the sales aspect of the hybrid event, which arguably is the most difficult part of the live event. I've got one little clip to show you, and then I'm going to take your questions. I'm going to wrap up today's show about 10:55, okay, just to give you time to get off. Some of you are on Jonathan's training for the next month, so I'm going to make sure that we get the show in under an hour. And the truth is, my team's been all over me because I need to keep the shows less than an hour because of the clips that we put on Instagram. So let me just do that from now on. But we can do it together. But if you have any questions, now's the time to go ahead and put those into chat. All right, last thing. Combining the live and the virtual event on the sales side. Remember what I said, 70, 60, maybe 70% of my revenue over the last 8 years has come in from the live event environment. Most of those are coaching, consulting, product sales. And most of those people came into the event virtually, but the sales came in from the event, okay? So the selling part is really, really important because ultimately, you're not done. Like if you're like me, I could just keep on teaching, man, for years. I mean, I have more stuff that if we just did this every single day, I would just keep teaching and I wouldn't run out of stuff because I keep growing and changing and learning new things. And so the next course, what I asked was, started asking my list. By the way, this is a really important side tip. I started asking you, you'll remember this, I started asking you over a month ago. During Ultimate Speaker, actually, I was saying, hey, my next product, I'm thinking about doing an author product or I'm thinking about doing a consulting product. What do you think? I'm thinking about doing an author product or a consulting product. And I would do this over and over again. And I had plenty of people who said author, I had plenty of people who said consulting. And finally, I did a survey. All right, and you all filled out, if you were at Big Pivot, you filled out the survey. If you want to see the survey, you're welcome to. It's edrush.com/survey. The survey is already complete, so if you voted, it was already counted. 70% of the people said they wanted to do a consulting product, and about 35% of the people said they wanted to do an author course. Okay, so clearly the consulting the consulting product won, and so I created a new course called Top Gun Consultant. And for those of you who are interested, it is happening August 18th through the 23rd. I'll tell you more about it later on. Now's not the time. The website is actually below, though, if you want to. Now, at the event, I had a particular challenge, which is this. If I was offering the product online, like in other words, if I was offering it only on Zoom to a digital audience, I know how to do that. Talk about the product, start to sell it, give it a website, announce sales. If I'm doing it at a live event, I know how to do that as well, which is to hand out forms and get people to go to the back for the fast action bonus. But I'm like, wait a second, how am I going to do this live and virtual? I mean, I've got people online and I've got people live. And so what I did was I did two things. Number one, I created an order form which the live event attendees could fill out and go to the back because I didn't want them to have to type in on their phone, which is typically what they own. Nobody really had computers. They just had their phones with them. I didn't want them to have to type in their phone. But the second thing is I needed the virtual event attendees to have a place to go to order to, which is the website you see below, which is edruss.com/TopGun. Okay. Now, the second part of this is I had fast action bonuses. Okay. I had 20 bags that were filled with anything from Amazon gift cards that were $50 to $100 to books to journals to Yeti microphones, and I had one that actually had a $500 gift card. I want to find out, by the way, who got that gift card, by the way. Somebody got a $500 Amazon gift card. One of the bags had that in it, okay? So what I did from the stage is I said, now the fast action bonus is this. The first 5 live people and the first 5 virtual are going to get bags, okay? First 5, all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. The sales started coming in online. People started going to the backs. The bags started going out. Now, why 5 and 5, Ed? You're like, there's 20 bags. Why are there 5 and 5? Because I wanted to be able to talk about the bonuses again, right? So I said, hey, look, live event attendees, we're sold out of the 5. The next 5 are going to get a bag. Virtual attendees, we've already had 7 orders. So if you're in the 7, you're going to get a bag. I got 3 more bags for you, okay? And sure enough, I kid you not, that day, that afternoon on the event, the first 10 virtual buyers got a bag in the mail. If you got a bag in the mail, tell me in chat, okay? Now, the important part of this is, remember that I said before I had done this, that online, if I had done an event with the virtual attendees and we offered something online up until Big Pivot, I had sold exactly 0. It was just pathetic, right? But it's because we didn't pay attention to the virtual attendees. We did a live event with virtual attendees just sort of watching. Once we came into Big Pivot, okay, we had, I don't remember the number. It's probably about 25 people, I think at this point approaching 30, that signed up for Top Gun Consultant. 2 times the number of people signed up online than did at the live event. What that means is that we were successful at truly creating an actual hybrid event where you, as the virtual attendee, felt like you were a part of the community of people so much that when we got to the sales part, you were still engaged in that. It was the last day, by the way, before lunch on the last day that some of you signed up for that. If you haven't, by the way, just so you know, the price is going up to $2,000, so it's $1,500 right now. My team hasn't changed that just yet. The price is going up to $2,000, which is a great price for this product. You got a $5,000 guarantee, which basically means within 90 days of completing the training. In fact, I can't remember if it was 60 or 90, either one. You'll have a $5,000 deal that'll come in, or deals, a number of deals leading up to $5,000. In other words, I'm guaranteeing you're going to make $5,000 in the first 3 months after the training, or you can get your money back, which is a really good deal. The website is below, though. The reason I put it below is because my team's going to move the price here in the next week to $2,000 because that's the actual price for it, but it's still at $1,500, so it's a really good deal. Sally, gosh, she got hers. Charlie got his bag. I love it, man. Yeah, you do need to go to the well, you never know. Things moving across the pond these days are happening a little bit slower. So Denise's manual going to Canada took about a month. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump. This is just the discussion of the hybrid event. I'm going to jump onto my other camera and take any questions that you have, and then we're going to begin to wrap it up. And the $500 gift card you haven't told me yet. So hey, what's up, Marquetta? I was sitting there trolling Twitter last night, just looking at the news, and I saw Marquetta's show, so I decided, hey, Harisha, good to see you as well. So I was watching Ricky and Marquetta on their show, and if you haven't seen their show, go watch Marquetta Breslin live. And they got some great guests coming up, too. All right, so the website's below if you want to do that. Thank you, Marquetta. She was one of my amazing speakers as well. Let me show you this clip real quick. This is actually the close. Remember I said that we did a good job of creating an event that was really a hybrid event that created sales. This is the last maybe minute and a half, and you'll see an example of what I'm talking about in this video.
I'm gonna tell everybody about you so that you're gonna get exposure to my folks, because I would love to be able to tell your stories. I'm gonna give you a little reason to get started fast, okay? If you missed the fast start call, that's going into section 2. You're gonna get the action manual and then what I call my entire proposal toolkit. That's all my tools and scripts and forms and agreements, okay? So here's the price, $10K. Now you already know that's not the price, all right? But listen, would it be worth it if we charge? That's it. I mean, come on. Would it have been worth it for Carolyn Sampson to pay $10,000 to make a $74,000 deal? Yeah. Would it be worth it for Jim House to pay $10K and do a $40,000 deal? Yeah. Jim was my book. I paid him. I actually hired Jim, who I taught to be a consultant. I've hired 3 of my students, by the way, to be my consultants in certain parts of my business. Okay? I hired one guy for marketing. I hired Jim House for book marketing, and I hired somebody else to get my butt in shape. Okay? So look, you never know what's going to happen. You might end up working with somebody even inside of the community. Okay? That's not your price. But if we did it at $5,000, would it be worth it? Yeah. I already told you, look, I should just make it $5. I don't even know why I didn't make it $5, because I already told you you're going to make $5. I should just make it $5. Just write $5,000 down. I'm just kidding. Are you ready for this? Seriously, this is the price. It's very simple. The pricing is simple. It's 3 investments of $547 or 1 single investment of $14.97. Now, is that a deal? Or is that a deal? So here's what I want you to do. Pick your selection on the sheet, okay? The website, by the way, for those of you who are watching at home, the website is, I just told you the guarantee already. I'm going to do it in a second. Oh, by the way, I'm going to skip through this real quick. This is what you get in this program. Remember the checklist that I told you need? You get the whole checklist. There's the website. For those of you watching at home, it's edrush.com/topgun.
All right, so the reason that I wanted to show you that, there's 2 reasons. Number 1, to show you how we did it in the live and the virtual together. Remember, I said, here's what I want you to do in the live room. Select your option below. If you're watching online, the website's below, which is edrush.com/topgun. The second thing, and this is actually really important, if you came to Ultimate Speaker, you saw me teach, here's how to create an offering from beginning to end. The talk that I gave at Big Pivot, and look, I'm biased, right? Because I like my stuff. It was as close to textbook as possible, okay? So if you're looking to improve your ability to speak from the stage and offer something, go back to Ultimate Speaker, watch how I taught how to put together the talk, and then go over to Big Pivot so that you can see how I actually did it, because I followed the model that I teach, no surprise there, and then executed. Okay, so Sally got the card. I think maybe you told me that at the event. It just feels like it was 1,000 years ago. So yes, congratulations are in order. Robert, my man. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start wrapping up today's show. Don't forget that on Thursday, I got how to turn an ordinary business into an extraordinary business with David and Jill Stoll. If you have any business of any kind that helps people achieve some sort of personal transformation, you need to watch their model. They went from nothing, an idea, to mid 7 figures and 4 separate locations. And they are just 2 incredible people. So you do not want to miss this interview on Thursday. There are going to be some direct takeaways that you can use, and they're just fun people to hang around with, okay? So that is on Thursday. All I got to say about this is EdTalks Live, baby, is back. We are back. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Be rad. I love it. Maybe I need you to come fix my hair, dude. Thanks for your time and attention. Come back on Thursday. Don't forget, EdTalks Live, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern, the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. I'll stick around and chat to say hello to you for just a moment or 2. I'll see you on Thursday. Keep your head up. I know the world is feeling a little frustrating right now. Keep your head up. Great things are going to happen to you very soon. Just stay engaged. All right? I love you and I like you, and I'll talk to you soon.